I did it again. I bought $115.25 in face value silver quarters to see if we can find a few more to put in this book. Hey everyone, it's RobFindsTreasure and welcome back to my channel. For many of you, you know that I do purchase junk silver periodically, and in those purchases, sometimes I try to see if I can complete a collection. Now, I did a part 1 of this video series called Silver Quarter Hunt and Album Fill, $100 face value in silver quarters, and in that video, you guys saw me slot many of the quarters required from 1932 to 1967. Now, when we did that video, we did not slot some of the earlier ones. Obviously, I don't expect to find a 32 DRS, but maybe a 32, and there are some findable ones in here. I think on this first page, we're only missing 8, and on the second page, we're only missing 1. Outside of that, we already have the rest of the quarters through 1967. Now, there are 3 clad years in here, and I did put those in for my collection since you're not going to get clad quarters, hopefully, in your junk silver quarter purchases. But the mission today is to go through this bag, see if we have any varieties, see if we have any better condition ones, any better dates, any upgrades, and of course, additions. So that's what we're going to do. That's the mission today. Hopefully I can get a few more slotted from this bag and maybe a few upgraded. Now I'm going to dump out this bag and then we'll go ahead and begin the sort. Let me go ahead and dump it out first and I'll be back. I know many of you like the actual live dump out, so we're going to go ahead and do that on camera and take a look at what we got. $115 face value, $115.25. And by the time you multiply that by 4, we've got 461 quarters, I believe, right here on the table. Man, that's going to take a while to sort. What I'm going to do first is segregate all of the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. I might do it by year instead of just by decade. We'll see how much table space this takes up. But I'm going to get started, and if I find something along the way that stands out, like a SLQ or a Barber or something like that, I'll bring it back. Or if I happen to find something that might be a better date, then I'll bring it back as well. That being said, I won't be checking the mints as I sort them. That'll take too much time. But if I happen to find like a 1932, you bet your bottom dollar I'm going to take a look at the back of it. Let me go ahead and get this started. I'll be back either at the end of the sort or with the find. Well, I got all the quarters sorted, and I will say that's all the 30s we had. So not many 30s, and I didn't see any 32s. We do have a lot from the 40s. That's 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, only 1, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, and then 61, 2, 3, and a whole bunch of 1964s. Now, I will be looking through those for varieties, but I do need to now go back through the 40s and separate them by year. But before I do that, I think I'm going to run through the 64s, since there's so many of them, clear some space out, and see if we have any Type B reverses, DDOs, or DDRs. That's going to take me some time, but for you guys, it'll be just a second. I'll be back if I have a find during it, otherwise a recap. Well, I'm bringing you back because we've got a pretty good find. I've hunted about half, maybe just about half of the 64s, and I'm checking them for the Type B and Type C reverses, as well as DDOs and DDRs. And I've got a 1964P that's in pretty decent shape under the scope. And take a look at this. What a beauty. The 1964 P quarter has 4 different DDRs recognized by PCGS, the FS 801, 802, 803, and 804. And the 801 and the 804 look a lot alike. And it took me a while to figure this one out. You can clearly see that there's heavy spread on quarter. And I don't know if I can get the lighting, but it's pretty much spread on the whole quarter dollar. And that's what the 801 and the 804 have. But the 801 does not have a die crack on the obverse under George Washington's bust in the later die stages, whereas the 804 has it in all stages. I flipped it around. I cannot see any evidence of the die crack, and even the one going through the ribbon. There's a slight little line right there, which would make sense because there are some die cracks on GW quarters. But I think this one, in my best guesstimate, is going to be the 801. Now, it's not perfect BU, but it's definitely in good shape. I think it's in that AU 55 or better range. I mean, it might get a mint state. It does have full mint luster, but This is the one I'm thinking it is, the 801. And if I scroll down to $quarter, you can see I have the exact same markings on mine. Now, I went to PCGS and brought up the 801, which is what I believe it is. And an AU55 is worth 75 bucks. When it hits the mint states, it hits triple digits. And of course, if it were to get higher than that, it jumps up really nicely in that 63, 64 range. Again, I don't think this is going to qualify as MS. If it did, it would be right at that 61 or 60. But I think it's a 55 to a 58 all day. I might get it submitted anyway, unless I find a better one in there. But that's a great find. I have not found either of the 801 or 804s. So we'll put that aside. We'll call it an 801. We'll get back to the hunt. I'm juiced. Well, we finished the 64s. I've kept these because they're the nicest ones. Those I'll put into other rolls. Even though there are some nice ones in there, they're not as nice as the ones in that tube. We did have that 64 DDR FS801, and I did find two FS901 Type B proof reverse 1964Ps, but neither of these are in good enough condition to grade. I'll probably hold on to them anyway, but not submitters. 64s done, 2 stacks of 63s. Let me move on to those and see if we can get any more good finds. We finished the 63s. No DDOs or DDRs, but we did have 4 Type B proof reverse 1963Ps. None of these are in fantastic shape. They're not in terrible shape, but no graders in here. Either way, I'll pull them aside like I did the 64P Type B reverses and move on to the 62s next. Nothing too fancy in the 62s, although we did score another Type B reverse for 1962 Philadelphia. That makes one from every year at least so far. Now it's time to see if we can go 4 for 4 with the 61s. Nothing in the 61s. Let's move on to 1960. All right, we have finished the 1960s, no Type B. We still have 56, 57, 58, and 59 to check for some of those different varieties. I'm going to do all those together and pull the best ones out to see if we have any upgraders, and if we have any good finds, I'll be back with that. I'm back. We had no varieties from 1956 to 59 as expected. Now I got to go through the 50s. Let me go through those. I'll see if we have any upgrades or additions. I will point out we did upgrade a 52P, a 59P, and a 57 Philly so far for the album from those. But now we got to go through the 50s. I'll be checking for any of the 50 over mint marks, as well as any other varieties we might find in the 1950 through 1955 years. So we finished the early 50s, and we did have 3 upgrades. We upgraded the 50P, much nicer. We upgraded the 52D. It's almost as nice as I'd like it, but not quite. And then the 53D, same thing. So 3 upgrades in the book there. And like I mentioned, not really worth showing the other ones. They weren't big upgrades. They were already pretty nice in the book, but we had upgrades. Now that we finished the 50s, we've got to sort the 40s. Let me go ahead and get the 40s sorted. Mainly, we'll be looking for the one we need, the 1946 Denver, but we'll take upgrades or better dates. Let me get them sorted, and I'll be back. So we have 1940 through 1949. We did not have any 48s, only a couple of 47s, only one 41 and one 1940. We do have a handful of 46s for that Denver we'll be looking for. Let me run through these. I'm going to find the best from every year in mint, and then we'll compare them to the album and see if we have any upgrades, additions, or any varieties as well. Well, I showed you that last clip, and I forgot I had a whole nother stack of 40s over here. So now, after I've already culled through them, I've got to re-cull through them against these. I will tell you, I'm a little nervous. We have a 46P and an S, not a 46D. So let me go through this stack, compare it to that, and see what the best finds are, and keep our fingers crossed for that 46 Denver we so desperately need. Well, that second stack did not give us the 46D, but now we have a lot more of the years and mints, including a full set of 48 PD and S, which we had none after that first stack. Grabbed a few estimated quarters in that stack. I'm going to see if any of these upgrade, and I'll be back if we have any upgrades. No better dates, by the way, in the 40s. All right, we have finished the 40s. We had 4 upgrades. We upgraded the 41P, the 42P, the 44P, and then back on this other page, we got a slightly better 49P. That's it, 4 upgrades, no addition. Still don't have that pretty common 46D through $215.25 worth of quarters, face value worth of quarters. That's crazy. All right, Small stack of 30s. Let me check it for varieties, and hopefully we have an addition or two. There are lots of spaces, but not a lot to look through. I'll be back after I've gone through them. Well, we finished the 30s, and those are the duplicates, and they all were Philadelphia, no Denver or San Francisco's, 34, 35, 36, 38, and 39. And I couldn't make a case to put any of those as upgrades in the album, and of course, no additions. Let me go ahead and get this sorted and stacked up here, and we'll give you a final look at the book with some final thoughts. All right, we have finished this second installment of the Silver Quarter Hunt and Fill series. We still have open slots. We were not able to actually have any additions to the book, so we still have the same ones missing from before, despite getting 115.25 face value in silver quarters. That being said, it was still a good hunt. We did have some upgrades. You guys heard about them earlier, but I wanted to give you a good look at the book. Definitely have some coal-like ones in here, but we also have some pretty decent ones as well. And I will say, despite all of the more modern quarters we found, we didn't have a lot that we could actually plug in here in the later years to have upgrades, because there really wasn't much better examples than the 63s and 64s we had in here. Either way, it's a good start to this new book, and we found a 64 DDR FS 801. I'll probably go ahead and submit it. We found two 64 Type Bs, 463 Type Bs, and a 62 Type B. On top of that, we got some more silver quarters to add to the stack. Despite the lack of additions and not that many upgrades, I still hope you guys found this fun. We'll be doing this again in the next month or so and see if we can find those ones through just junk silver purchases. Yeah, I could go out there and get low-grade examples to complete this album, but I already have a quarter album that's complete, so this is just a secondary project and for fun. If you guys did enjoy it, I'd appreciate that thumbs up. And as always, everyone, happy hunting, and thanks for watching.